Welcome to another
I
episode.
know it's politically incorrect, but I'm a little concerned.
About what? What are you concerned about?
Our producer's new haircut.
He did. He got a short
It's,
haircut. He's joined
he's tilting.
civilization.
He's tilting.
But this is another episode of Stand-Up Memories with a terrific guest who is zooming on with us, the one and only Jim
A
Florentine.
good old friend. Welcome to. We have such a high class, cool operation here that when he got out the clipboard and clacked it, dust flew away. that's how exciting this is. But the good news, Florentine, I just got my royalty check from Rules for Men.
Whoa.
Tell the audience what that is. What is Rules for Men?
We did him. I think it was the first movie Kenneth Del Vecchio did. He wrote a book and then made a movie about the book. And I'm not sure which was worse, the book or the movie. But you do know he went on to do like 20 other movies, right?
Yeah, I know. He did. And me and Jackie had a scene. I forget what it was, but I had one scene in the movie. It was with Jackie, and I was really excited. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing a scene with Jackie. That's how he lured me in. He goes, listen, man, I want you to be in the film. You'll do a scene with Jackie. I go, I'm in. I'm in.
It was so, but Artie was in that. Artie Lang was in it. What's his name? Frank Gorshin was in it.
Frank Gorshin, the Riddler?
The girl that was on number one Z100 at the time. It was just crazy, and it was really fun. And I was a lawyer, a bad lawyer, Larry the lawyer, I think it was. And I had just gotten my license back, and you came in as a client, and you had a great scene because you played a real wacko, like you were seeing things or whatever it was, or you're envisioning things. And he came in to my office, and after he came in, Otto and George came in. And it was all about Otto. George was screaming that a squirrel bit him on his Johnson. And I was like, don't be silly, you're a dummy, you don't have a Johnson. And all of a sudden he did. And then I threw him out of the office, and I actually had a scene where I was choking George, not Otto. I was choking the dummy.
That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot that Otto came in after me.
Yeah, there was, at this point, I would really like to see it. It was really crazy. And
What's the name of this movie that our audience is definitely going to want to avoid?
Rules for Men. And I know it's out. It's actually out on DVD. Well, you can get it on DVD. And
you can see it in Times Square if you have a lot of tokens.
And then I think Nancy, my wife at the time, was in it too. Because what happened was she got a role in this movie playing the judge. She actually had a scene where they shot through her leg like Mrs. Robinson. And Vinny Pastore was in it.
Yeah.
He played a lowlife somebody. And his name in the movie was Mr. Bowles.
Mr. Bowles.
And Nancy threw me out of the courtroom. I was a lawyer, and I have no manners. And I guess I cursed. And she threw me out of the courtroom, and I had to curse her all the way out on my way out of the courtroom, which is like a pretty easy assignment if it's wife that you're not getting along with. I think we did it one take. It was fun though, but there was no like rap party or anything. I think he put it together,
You realize we have one of the best stand-up comedians in the USA as a guest, and you're talking about this.
I wanted to talk to him about this movie. What is it? It had to be 30 years ago.
It had to be like maybe 2000.
All right,
somewhere, maybe, somewhere around there. So
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a figment of my imagination, that whole thing, but you just rubber stamped that it actually did happen. So now on with the interview.
Well,
you know what? And I have, if I would have known, I have a picture of me and Jackie together on the set, because I think that was the first time I met him. So
yeah, that might be.
Well, I saw you I went to Club and a bunch of times before I was in doing comedy to watch Jackie. I just,
Really?
Yeah. That would be at the merchandise table. I bought sweatshirts, T-shirts.
Oh, cassettes. I didn't know I made a few dollars from it, but what a
oh yeah, you definitely did.
That was
Club Benet. Wow,
700 people. I think it was $30 cash to get in, and Tom Benet would pay me in 20s, like in a satchel.
And remember, they give the crowd, if you got the dinner, you get like a prime rib and like a salad with just lettuce. There was nothing else, and like Thousand Island dressing on it.
Right.
And that was
And
the meal you got for the dinner.
we used to work there once in a while with the Stern Show, and anybody that worked there got chicken. And Tom Bonet would always come over and say, "The old man says you guys can have steak. You guys can have. He likes you. You can have steak." Old Tom, you know, the old man.
Yeah, yep. When you guys were doing a live Howard Stern thing there, Club and A, I don't even, this had to be like 87 or something like that. I snuck in one time. I was DJing. I had a DJ company. I was wearing a tuxedo. I had to wear a tuxedo to DJ weddings. So I just came to the door and they must have thought I was someone important. And I just watched from the back. And it was so insane what you guys were doing. Those live shows were great. Yeah.
A man, what's it called? A male strip show.
Yeah, it was so great, man, just to see those guys live and in person.
And then 2 minutes later, all of a sudden, here's Florentine's a big time comic. That was great. You rose out, you know, boom.
No,
when you're on that radio show, you don't know what's going on in the outside world.
No.
You know, I had no idea what's going on with comedy and who was coming and going, and you know.
No, look, I always remembered you guys, both of you guys, you know, opening for you. You guys were veteran comics, always nice to me. Never, you know, were a dick or anything like that. And, you know, comics always remember that. And I've always passed it along too with other comics. Just,
so
I remember.
I told you back then, if you fake being nice to people.
I was not faking. I don't think I was faking. But you were probably faking.
I might have been. No, I love that when people say, "Oh, you were nice to me years ago," blah, blah, blah. You know, I was on the road with Jenny Jones, who wound up with a talk show and all that stuff. And she called into the Stern Show. And I said, "Yeah, me and Jenny worked together." And she said, "I was the most fun ever." And they didn't believe a word I said ever. And she was on the phone. I said, "Yeah, Jenny, Jackie's trying to tell us he worked with you." She said, "Oh, he was the nicest man I've ever met." which you know, killed Howard. You know, that's the last thing you wanted to hear is Jackie was a nice guy. He treated me well. You know, he didn't throw up on me or anything.
So, Jim, let's talk like we're comics who haven't seen each other for a while, which is true. So we're backstage, and it would be natural for a comic to say to another comic, "So how long you been doing it? How long you been doing it?" What's your answer?
1991, 92 is when I
91,
started.
92.
Yeah.
Okay. Good long run.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it a while when we made that movie.
Yeah. I was probably doing
I was
it.
so far out of the loop. I didn't work the Jersey clubs or I worked them, but from the Stern Show, I had such a draw that I didn't need opening acts or other acts. So you would work in the circuit around.
Just the bar gigs and the firehouse at BFWs. But I opened for you at this place, Jenkinson's down in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. That was the one time I opened before I was maybe 4 years in the comedy. I remember Jackie goes, "Listen, just do, I was doing 20 minutes up front." He goes, "The only thing I ask is just be clean because my act is filthy." And I go, "Yeah, fair enough." And that was fine because you didn't need me being up there.
Right down the road from Uncle Vinny's, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Huge, right?
Yeah, it was huge. It was like a Monday night. You sold it out. It was the biggest gig I had. I was at like 4 years doing comedy, and I was so excited. And Jackie's like, "Just be clean," which is totally true because Jackie was up there telling his jokes, and he didn't need a guy being filthy in front of him. I always did that. Like when I opened for Otto and George all the time, I never needed to go, "I got to be dirty" because his audiences wants it dirty. I go, "I'm going to be the complete opposite and be clean." And they loved it. I never got flack from any headliners for doing that.
That was a tough thing. There was not a lot, but a certain amount of people took that as, "Oh, Jackie doesn't want me to be funny." It was like, no, I want you to be funny as you can. But once somebody goes up and says, "Fart, dick," and breaks all the premises, and a lot of the young guys or the newer guys, they not only broke the premises, but they weren't funny when they did it.
If an opening act is being professional, they should not curse. They should leave that for the headliner. It's just a basic understanding. Rodney insisted on being the first one to use.
But I've given up trying to do that. Now I show up at these gigs and these guys, and so many are like, "Oh, I'm working with Jackie. He's really dirty. I better be as dirty as I possibly can." And but at some point, it's take the money and run. I've been trying to sell the same bag of salt for too long.
Yeah.
So, Jim, look back on those days, those one-nighters, the road. Happy memories for the most part, or do you just feel tired thinking about it?
No, absolutely. I loved it because you had that was your whole life. You know, just so you made like $100. You're like, I got paid $100 cash, and then you go, then they give you free drinks at the bar, and there's girls talking to
Back then,
you.
somebody handing you $50 or $40 is superseded nowadays. Somebody handing you a couple grand, because back then it was like, I remember the first time Vic from the Rainy Night House handed me $20. I was like, but this isn't for sitting and playing my stupid songs. This is for telling jokes. I was like, I felt like I wanted to frame it, like people framed the first dollar bill, you know?
And I counted the free cheeseburger too as part of the pay.
Well,
Now,
that
when you were
too.
doing it, were Jerry Stanley and Jim Palazzos, were those guys still around, or are they long gone?
No, Palazzo's was, because he had that place in Jersey, the Red Robin was a restaurant. Then he had the comic strip in Fort Lauderdale, and I lived down in Fort Lauderdale for a while. So I'd always like to go back to my stomping grounds. You get 2 weeks. I think he paid like $500 a week for I think I was emceeing or maybe featuring, but they put you up and it was free drinks, and it was phenomenal.
That was,
It was the best gig ever.
what's so funny is nobody has ever written that book. Because number one, Richie Tinkin passed away, but he owned it, and he brought in his friend from the Bronx. They actually opened that club so their friend Tony would have a place to come work in Florida and work out, because he was it's a long story.
Tony DeAndrea.
Very good.
I know the comic strip history.
So his good friend Joe Mullen ran the club. And then years later, he found out that, you know, a lot of the money had been sliding under the bar. So Palazzos came in. So nobody's ever told the story. Plus, the stories have to definitely be behind the dark wall, because there's not a guy that worked down there that wants anybody to have any idea what went on.
So Jim, I wanted to ask you this. Were you as well behaved at the comic strip in Fort Lauderdale as we all were?
Out of control. I mean, it
You
was
at
like
the Comedy Condo?
Comedy Condo, and you know, spring break was still happening in Fort Lauderdale, and I had all these ties to guys in bands and rock clubs, and it was pure mayhem for 2 weeks. It was insane, and I got paid. Yeah, and because I had the long hair back then, so I was cleaning up with the women. You know, they all like guys with long hair. It was awesome.
You get off that plane, and then 2 weeks later, in a haze, you would get on the plane. But you know, when I worked it, you got paid $600 cash a week, all in 20s. You know, and you know, one time I worked, and I got home. I'm on my way home in the plane, and I look at my money, and I'm like $80 short. So, you know, you didn't spend any money because you're making so little money. You don't want to spend any. So you eat at the club and drink at the club. And I'm sure Mitchell Walters just took a handful of my 20s out of my wallet. I couldn't prove it.
The late Mitchell Walters, great comedian, wild, like most of us were back in those days.
I love Mitchell. So Mitchell used to live down there, right? And he would come in during the week and just do a guest set. He'd do 7. He goes, I want to do 7 minutes. And he'd do his whole car routine about, you know, and he had a T-shirt with the Toyota found or Ford found the road dead.
The names of all the cars, what they stand for, the acronyms.
So he only did a 7-minute guest set just so he could sell the T-shirts after the show, so he can go to the dog track to make money to go to the dog track. He'd come in every night. He goes, the dogs are going off at 9. I'll be out of here by 8:20 when the show, whatever it was. And then he'd run. He'd be at the door. Come on, you got to buy one. You got to buy one. He'd have $80. He'd go to the dog track every night. It was great.
Clockwork. Him and Adam Leslie.
Adam Leslie.
I don't know him.
These are some of the classic comedians who performed.
He was Mitchell Walters, only he was a different guy.
Okay.
It was the same guy. But
every vice you can have, those two guys had that vice. Oh, those were the days. Those were.
You know what I liked about Jackie too? Because Jackie would like sell out a club, and he'd only want to do one show. He's like, I'm not doing 2 shows on a Friday or a Saturday. I just want to do one. Meanwhile, the club owner, like, he's hanging out at the bar. He could, you know, and just talking to their fans. He could do another show. He's here. It's not like he had to go home. Jack's
I never said I wanted to go home.
Yeah, I just want to do one. I like that because
steaks and drink, right?
Right, and you just put all your energy into that first show. You're like, I don't want to wind down and then try to wind back up to do a second one.
So
you
Jim,
just see I hate the concept of 2 shows. I always have once in a while. Nowadays, sometimes if you go away and they say we want you to work Friday and Saturday, and will you do 2 on Saturday? If it sells well, like, you know, how much hassle can it be? But then when
Right.
it gets to it, you know, I tell people it's like trying to have sex twice.
Right.
I want to do it once and do really well. If you have to do, if you know you have to do it twice, it wrecks both of them.
I remember because I did the Late Show, whatever club it was, I forget. And the owner's like, Jackie's right there. He could sell out another show when he's just hanging out at the bar. Why wouldn't he do a second one?
So listen, Jim did the Stern Show like 20 times, which is an awful lot for a guest.
Now, did you do it a lot? You did
Yeah.
a lot after I left, though, right?
I came on one time with Vinny Mazzio Jr. back in like 1994 because I was his neighbor. And I remember you, Howard, going, I came on the air, he brought me on it. Howard goes, Jim, if you want a career, you got to get rid of this guy. Don't hang out with him. It's not going to. But anyway, he was my neighbor. He was fun. But
Is
then
he still around?
I haven't heard from him in years, so I don't know.
Anybody that doesn't know, Vinny Mazzio Jr. wanted to be a stand-up comic, and his act was that he lit his penis on fire. That was his act.
He lit his.
But he didn't have a trick. He would put lighter fluid on it and light it, and then try to make it swat it out in time. He was out.
Yeah, he would.
You know, he was out of his mind.
Yeah, he
Oh,
would
really?
put like 4 pairs of underwear on, like tighty whities, and he would lay down and he would put lighter fluid on and light it, and there'd be a big flame. And when I would open for him, he'd bring a frying pan to cook an egg over the flame, and he'd have about a minute before he had to put it out. And then he had no plan. He would just be like, I like that. He didn't even know what he was doing.
He hired me and Belzer one time to open for him he opened for us at Count Basie. And he's out there lying on the floor, lighting his crotch on fire. And Belzer's like, God rest his soul, he just passed away. He's like, what are we doing? I said, we're getting paid $5 grand each. That's what we're doing. You know, when it gets to a certain figure, it's like, I don't care, you know,
Right.
you know, have sex with elephants out there. I don't care.
You know, you're mentioning the guy lighting his penis on fire, and I'm actually sitting here thinking that guy stole my bit.
Ah,
I can't believe it.
I wonder if he's still alive. He's probably still alive, you know.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't heard from him over the years because
But
yeah,
you didn't come back on again, though, right?
I
Until
didn't come
after
back
I
on
was gone.
till you were like 2001 is when I came back on.
Yeah, I was going in like March of 2001.
So Jim,
Yeah.
in your illustrious career, what's at the top of your resume? What are you the most proud of?
I would say getting on the Howard Stern show because he was like the Tonight
Really?
Show. You know, I was more edgy and dirty, so I knew I wasn't going to go to David Letterman, Jay Leno, Tonight Show route. And just I was a fan growing up. I'd listened since the mid '80s when he was on NBC, and just to get on that show and him to think I was funny, that to me, I was like, that I made it. That was my pinnacle of my career.
Were you a part of the cast?
No, because you know when you left, they had different comics come in and sit in the Jackie chair, they called it, and a rotating guy. So I'd come in like once every 2 weeks or 2 times every 2 weeks until Artie got the job full time. Even after Artie got the job, I would still come in like every 3 months.
Nice.
So, but just that put me on the map. As soon as he started plugging my gigs, I started selling out everywhere. And before I was a headliner in B and C rooms, but I was never doing the A rooms.
It was magic that show. You know, one time they wouldn't give me what I wanted for a raise, and I said, all right, you know what I want? I want an extra plug, because he used to plug me at the end of the show, but the show starts at 6 and the audience goes like this, and the show wouldn't end at 10. It ended at 10:30 or 11, and there's nobody listening then. I said, I want an extra plug at 8 o'clock, and I would and they gave it to me, which was invaluable. Because
That was
on
genius.
Monday I do it at 8, and Tuesday I do it 7:30, and Wednesday I do it 8:15, because it's a completely different group of people that are in their car. And you know, it's like, it was just magic. You know, the club owners didn't care if he even showed up. They just got such publicity, you know.
Yeah, no, that was genius for you to plug it at 8. Because I remember listening to those shows. I'm like, that's a prime time plug.
Wow. And you wound up romancing. Was it Howard that you romanced?
No, it wasn't Howard. It was somebody else on the show, and it wasn't Fred.
So the guy with the big teeth?
No, well, I forgot it wasn't Gary either.
That was very interesting. We won't go. Listen, we have to wind down our show. Can we?
Well, I just want a couple, let's get a couple quick things in here. First of all, I've been telling people you're coming on our show. You are so respected in the comedy community for just being a nice guy and being funny. And that's really the best compliment I can give to somebody.
that really to me, I
I
think
mean,
that
really,
goes a long way.
We
you
are
know?
thrilled to have you on the show. And we have time to do this real quick. I like to ask comedians, like we're at the diner, okay? And 99+% of the shows go great. But do you think back on any nightmares that you would share with comedians who would relate at the diner? The nightmare show. What's going wrong for you? What have you seen?
The things you say at the diner,
at the
that
diner,
you never repeat to your friends in
you know,
real life.
where a show went just so wrong.
Well, my first like TV gig when Pauly Shore was really big on MTV was like Spring Break with Pauly Shore. MTV, because I did their comedy show, whatever, the Comedy Hour, they decided to have me go down on spring break and do a bit with Pauly. Now, the bit was I was going to start heckling Pauly from the stage. And Pauly goes, oh, if you think you're funny, you come up here and let's see what you could do. And I was going to go up there and start telling jokes and I was going to start killing because the crowd was going to be in on it. Oh, and then Pauly gets mad and jealous and pushes me off the stage. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And Pauly was huge at that time. So right before we're ready to film it, the producer goes, hey, we're not going to tell the audience that Jim's a real comedian. Pauly goes, no, you need to. This is my crowd. He goes, no, they'll be fine. Don't worry about it. All of a sudden, we're into the scene. So I heckle him. I bring him up there. I can't even, and he goes, come on up here if you could do it. I got on the mic. I was they started booing me before I even started talking. And I was only doing comedy like 3 years. I'm just bad. I'm like, da, 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 da. And then I'm trying to get these jokes out. I'm getting booed on TV in front of like 2,000 people. And then Paul just pushed me off the stage after like a minute and a half. Like, what a loser. They showed that. They had to show that like 50 times on spring break, like MTV spring break.
That is a wonderful nightmare. And because of that wonderful nightmare, that leaves such a horrible taste in people's mouth. You have to promise us that you'll come back on and pick this up where we left off.
Oh,
absolutely.
We love you, man. You are terrific. And everybody watching this podcast, you see Jim Florentine playing in your area, you go see him. He's super funny.
Look, you guys inspire me because you guys are a little older than me that I could still do it at your age, and you guys are still out there performing.
I don't know if you've seen him up there.
Oh, hey Jim, what do you have going on now? Where can we see you soon next? What are you up to?
Yeah, like March 31st, April 1st, I'll be at Governors in Levittown, Long Island.
Governors in Levittown, Long Island's best comedy club, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good for you.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it. And I do a podcast called Everybody Is Awful. It comes out every Monday.
Everybody Is Awful comes out every Monday.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
It's no stand-up memories.
No, it's no stand-up memories, but and you get awful people on the show?
No, I make fun of like stupid posts on social media. People taking pictures of their food, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Thank you, Jim Florentine.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That was a pretty good episode.
A new episode every Wednesday with me, Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, comedians, interesting people. Leave a comment. We'll get what am I saying?
I don't know.
We're gonna get back to you. We will respond to your comment.
Standupmemories.com. If you go there, it shows all the different
all
platforms.
Spotify, we're on everything.
Every Wednesday.
Stand Up Memories.
Every Wednesday.
A new episode.
Hey, this is Jim Florentine. I just finished doing Stand-Up Memories with Peter and Jackie, and it was amazing just talking to those guys, going over some old stories, and it was one of the best podcasts I ever did. But I've only done two so far, so I don't know if that means.